No. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next item is approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so the check warrant, we have a new number on that, which is total expenditure is $1,717,556.85, out of which accounts payable is $1,563,317.42, and payroll is $154,239.43. That is the amended amount for the check warrants. I also want to point out, thank you, Mark, for including the current correspondence, which is very helpful for us. I also want to point out the two DRB minutes in here about the two big projects going on in the town right now next to my store, that two sites, Stewart's and the housing development. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
We read them.
Just want to point that out. Okay. Need with the amendment, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This is of the
Opposed?
consent agenda, right? All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's approved. Citizen comments. Is there anybody who has any comment to make that's not on the agenda? Anybody online?
We have one attendee. Sorry,
Just
sending it.
BMP online. And we're gonna, Andy's asking for the link, so we're gonna send it to him in a minute.
You can proceed. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. All right, next up is David DiBiase.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're here to talk about an excavator.
Again? Again.
So we have been in the process now since before my arrival talking about a rental of an excavator. And then we looked at the financials of both the capital funding, our equipment fund, operational budgets, what we're spending on hiring contractors. And Emily and I were able to find enough funding to actually purchase one. The price to rent one was about the same as a payment would have been for a 12-month period of time. We know that we use excavation equipment through winter, summer alike, through the projects that we do planned and unplanned, such as water breaks we had last week and holes, sinkholes that we had today. So we put out to bid for a excavator. It's about a 20,000-pound excavator. It's track mounted with rubber padded tracks so that it can work on the asphalt without causing too much more disturbance than we already do when we're putting a bucket in the ground. We put that up to bid and we received a bunch of bids. There's different types of excavators, one being a front mount boom, so the boom is actually right in front of you. And then there's one that comes from the side, which is kind of the more traditional that most people are aware of. You'll see on the bid sheet that there was a bunch of them that had submitted on a front mount, which was something that we were not interested in operationally for what we expect to do with the machine. So with that being said, we're hoping to move forward with the second lowest bidder, who is United Construction, Ag and Construction, I think is their new name. It used to be John Deere or Nortrax. We own a variety of pieces from them already, so our maintenance items and if we need to send it out are all in the same place for that piece of machinery. And Mark just had it up there. So the ones indicated in red are the ones that have that forward boom configuration that we otherwise are disqualifying as non-compliant with the bid specs. There's certainly things in a bid that we'd be happy if it was green and we wanted orange, so be it, not a big deal. This is an operational difference for us, and it was one that broke for not having. So as you can see, Fink was a little less money. They're a newer dealership, nothing wrong with those folks, but we're much more comfortable with the John Deere and the dealership, which is United CNF at this point, and we would like to move forward with the purchase of that excavator. Along with that, we had money in the budget already for a trailer that's already been moved forward through the process and is on order and should be here in the next couple of weeks to be able to move this piece of equipment around as we need.
So I recall this was discussed at the infrastructure committee meeting. At the time, they recommended it, but there was a question about the warranty, and I see that's been improved since.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned it during the infrastructure. They'd come back after saying, I think the warranty is better than what we had initially spec'd. There was some concern about all bidders having the same information, so we actually rebid the whole package. So if you'll see, Brett is on here, there's more people that bid this time. Many of those didn't qualify, as you can see. And we actually had some bidders reach out to us asking, and we told them we wouldn't consider it. So they never actually ended up bidding either. So the field wouldn't be fair at this point because some of those folks never even entered numbers because we told them we wouldn't consider it. And at that point, when they came back this time, Fred, they had updated that terms of the I think it's 5 years or 4 years. 5 years.
5 years.
2,500 hours. As most of you know, we're a years group when it comes to warranty. We don't normally put the hours on equipment like general construction does when they're working 40 hours a week out in the field. So a longer duration of time is a better deal for us, certainly. And you can see that between the FINC as well. That's another piece that's in our favor, going with a little bit more money of a bit.
Can you remind me if you're replacing it with a different one, or are we just buying a new one?
This is new. This will be a new piece to the fleet, and we had that conversation at infrastructure about what are we adding, are we looking at what we're taking away, and I think we've done a really good job. Even we're buying a new truck for the water department. We're looking at we get those big trucks with the boxes on them and the cranes. Do we need that thing? That's what we were thinking. No, we need a half-ton pickup this time, and so we are trying to right-size that. I think. Yeah, we have a backhoe currently, which does a great job at a lot of things. I'd say it's more like a Leatherman, right? If you need a pair of needle-nose pliers to do that thing real quick, but if you really need to start working on something, you got to go get the real pliers and do the job, and that's kind of the backhoe to excavator comparison that I like to use. So this is a new piece for us, and we'll do a variety of things. We've been renting excavators all summer already that we spend a substantial amount of money on, and then since I've been here in December. We've continued to not have to hire excavation contractors. We've been doing that all in-house. The DPW highway and water crews and sewer crews have been working extremely well. So we expect to see a pretty good savings on the backside of what we had historically been spending with subcontractors doing that work for us in the field as opposed to the in-house work that we're doing now.
And how long do these last?
I'd say this machine could last us 15 to 20 years if we take good care of it. I mean, it's, again, low hours for us as long as something catastrophic doesn't happen, gosh forbid, but they last a long time. Pretty rugged piece of machine.
And can you talk about maintenance? Is this something that if we needed to, like you said, take good care of, what can we do in-house versus what would we have to bring maybe back to the dealer?
So my whole existence before my state and water life was earthwork, and the biggest deal for excavators is grease. And if you don't grease the piece of machinery, you're going to wear pins and bushings and those items that cost us a lot of money and then have to get sent out. So the preventative maintenance, having the shop within DPW, those things get put on a schedule and they get oil changed. Much like the fire trucks, we've gone to a schedule now that every June they're all coming in to get oil changed and inspected in those things. So we do that the same way with the plow trucks. So I expect that to be pretty seamless for us. Normally, as equipment has become more complicated and more, just like our cars, right? You used to be able to do a lot of things in your own cars. As the electronics continue to grow in that world, some of that stuff gets outside of our ability to access through the computer system. So I would say that's probably more of the times that we'll have to use them. But, even the brand new things that we buy sometimes aren't so great, and that's why we're excited to have that warranty for at least that first 4 years, 5 years.
So David, in excavators that have the boom in the center and the forward, as you describe it, these days they generally have a swing option for that. So you can turn the excavator, swing it so you can dig parallel along
That's correct.
A wall or something. Tell us why the side boom that does not have that advantage works better for you.
Yeah, so everything's got advantage and disadvantage. The side boom for us is the ability to come closer to your excavator, right? Because that boom is out in front of you. The other piece about that boom being out in front of you is the weight. So these are zero swing machinery. So it's not like the old days when you see an excavator swinging, there's 6 feet of the counterweight trying to not hit things. This one pretty much stays within its tracks and within a couple inches. So weight is a big piece of that now because it doesn't have counterweight sticking over the back. So when you go all the way out with that longer boom, with, you know, as we look at that tip point, it becomes much more tippy for
Okay.
us. But really the ability to come back, pick up higher, there's advantages and disadvantages. I was working at a construction site around houses and digging perimeter drains where I needed to be right up close to something and come at a 90-degree. Fred, you're exactly right. Like those advantages are big. But for what we're doing most of the time, we want to be able to get close to ourselves, not worry about the swing in the backside.
Okay, good answer. Thank you.
Any other questions? Motion, please.
I move to approve the proposed purchase of the John Deere excavator from United for $122,944.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hi, Andy.
Whoa!
He has appeared.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. All right, next up is Emily. Proceeding contracts.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm coming to you with a engineering proposal to finish out the last phase of South Street, which is the sewer stormwater improvements. We have historically been working with Landmark Engineering, and they just don't have the capacity to finish this job out. And so I've been coordinating with them and also with Otter Creek. Otter Creek has a lot of historical knowledge of the area. So I think they'd be a good fit to take the project over, and they work with Landmark Engineering quite a bit on local projects. My recommendation is to move forward with Otter Creek to get to the final design level so that we can get the project out to bid. My goal is by December, so that we can do submittals and bonds over the winter and have it ready for construction early spring next year.
Under our new purchasing policy, what's the limit for things that can be authorized without having to come to the select board?
Oh, it's actually under that. I didn't even think about that. I was thinking more on terms of switching
Well,
contractors.
forgive me, but I'm just, I'm also curious that in this engineering agreement, they say that there's $7,500 for permitting. And wasn't this project already fully engineered and permitted when you went to start
It's not
performing?
completed yet.
So they said they need a water supply division permit, but the water's all done, isn't it?
So you have to get the construction permit for water or wastewater.
Or the wastewater part?
For the wastewater part, but they might also have water impacts. There's a section of the project that the way it's designed right now is going to be an extremely deep cut, which is not ideal. It's the more northern section of South Street. And so it would be a pretty dangerous excavation travel-wise. And so we might have to redesign that section more thoroughly. And so it might impact water services and things of that nature. So.
And the other question, why wouldn't you have them do construction engineering service, construction phase services?
We potentially can. This has funding through the CWSRF fund, which requires an ESA contract, which I know you all love. I brought you a few recently, and that requires final design sectioned out. So then the construction inspection goes into the actual construction agreement.
Okay. Well, you confident that if they do all of this by January 1st, we'll be able to actually finish this project next year? Promise?
Yes, I do promise. We have grant funding on this project that has to get utilized by October. Else we use it. So there's a major hurdle that's part of the reason for shifting gears right now.
Do you put this out to bid, or is it just Otter Creek Engineering who does all these things?
The engineering?
Yeah.
So we do an RFQ every 3 years, and so from that we select engineers. I need to put it out this summer. So
Oh,
once
okay.
that goes out, then we select engineers and they can be just at the ready.
Okay, got it. All right. Any other questions?
I'd move to approve the proposed engineering agreement with Otter Creek Engineering for $27,500 for the final phase of the South Street project.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Andy? All right. Approved.
That's an aye.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Dana? This is the exciting part, right?
This is.
Oh gosh, pressure's on now.
This is the highlight.
More
Well-
exciting than an excavator.
It is exciting to be in front of you guys and not asking for something or, you know,
Especially you published our picture in that presentation.
I
So
was
that's,
going for the brownie points, yeah, had to include that. So I was told to keep it brief. I will try and go through the slides in just a few minutes, and then
Please.
you guys can ask questions and we can just chat about what's going on at the library this year. An exciting year, to be sure. All right, so we can scroll on to the next slide. So, as everyone knows, we're in the Duclos building, thanks to the National Bank of Middlebury. Oh, thank you. It's working out wonderfully. We've had great response to it. We've got about a quarter of our collection there, 13,000 items, 4 public access computers. We used to have 12 in the old building, so it's a lot fewer computers. Front of the building is for kids. It's a little louder. Back of the building is for adults. We try and keep that quieter, although it is all one giant space, so there is no silent part of the library anymore as there used to be, theoretically. And then we have a little side room for the teens. In that picture, it's the door that you can kind of see the blue paint on the inside. We painted it to get nice and bright for them. So we have some comfortable seating by the windows. We have a study place for adults to work. And then we have a small office upstairs for the librarians. It can accommodate 2 librarians at a time. So for the most part, the library team is working hybrid in the building 1 or 2 days a week and then remote the rest of the time. And we have fewer staff hours right now than we did in the previous building. So even though it's a lot smaller than what we're used to, we're keeping busy. So April, May, June, last quarter, we were in the Duclos building the whole quarter. We had 16,000 visitors, a little over that. This is about half of what we used to do pre-pandemic and a little bit less than what we were doing in the old building post-pandemic. So the past 2 or 3 years in the old building, we were getting like 300, 350 a day. So it is less, but in that small space, it still feels pretty busy. We've had just under 25,000 checkouts in the last quarter. That's about 75% of what we were doing in the old building. So it is down, but still pretty robust, I think. 809 computer uses. That doesn't include Wi-Fi uses, obviously. That's just people coming in and sitting down at one of our 4 computers. 124 programs, that's on par with what we do in a typical quarter. 1,700 attendees is down about 300, 400. We're doing almost all of our programming off-site now, so Marquee Cinema, Teen Center, places like that. And we have no public meeting room or small study rooms for people to reserve, so no meeting room use that we can share out. Moving on. So we have our storage space out in Vergennes, thanks to Vermont Industrial Parks. It is an old office building, so the collection is spread out between like 9 different small rooms, so it's kind of hard to get a picture of all of that. We have about 30,000 items out there. We are also storing all of our stuff. We have no storage in the Duclos building, so all of our programming supplies and crafts and administrative files are out there, along with some furniture. It's basically just like a big closet out in Vergennes for the library. Next slide. So the collection is still available to the public. It's searchable through the online catalog. People request the materials. We send someone out each day.
that's a cute picture.
Keep searching.
So that is me paging books. I go out once a week. We decided not to put any money into spiffing up this old office space. A lot of the lights are out, and we just didn't want to put anything into that. So we wear a headlamp when we page because a lot of the interior rooms are really dark, and then the rooms along the that have windows are a lot brighter. So it's fun to go out there and put on the headlamps. We've paged just under 3,000 items last quarter, so that's not more or less than what we were expecting because we had no idea what to expect, but it's kind of fun to be able to track that and know that I'm actually kind of impressed. I guess it is higher than I thought it would be because it requires people to very intentionally decide there is a specific book I want, I'm going to search for it online, and I'm going to request it and wait for it.
Wait, what is paging? What does that mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. Paging is people request the book online, and then a librarian drives out to Virgins and gets the book and brings it back, and we call that paging.
Okay.
Public libraries tend to be open stack, so the shelves are all open to the public and people can go in and grab what they want. Research libraries tend to be closed stacks, so you would request the book and then it is paged for you. Someone goes into like the restricted section and gets you the books.
Is there a routine that you go once a day
Yeah.
to Virgins?
Yep, each of the librarians.
Dana, that's almost 50 items a day that you're pulling out of your tent.
That sounds right. We're open 6
Wow.
days a week, don't forget. It feels more like 35-ish when I go out there on average.
Yeah.
But it's probably more, I go out on Tuesday. I bet on Monday there's more because it's 2 day, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and of course we return books when we go out too, so,
Good.
yeah. Yeah.
And you said that here at the library, the number of visitors, does the East Middlebury Library picking up some more traffic there?
We haven't seen there was a huge increase when we were closed during
Yeah.
the relocation and East Middlebury was the only branch open.
Right.
But since then it's tapered back off. We haven't really seen,
So Duclos is a place to go.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, East Middlebury is the place to go too. I love East Middlebury. We just haven't seen, we wondered maybe there'd be more attendance there long term,
Yeah.
but that hasn't been the case so far.
Okay.
Okay, next slide. Things are still going really well with the project. Construction is more or less on schedule. REARC has added 13 days to the schedule. They're hoping that they'll be able to cut that down a little bit. So we're still looking at a July, August move-in next year. There have been a number of discoveries during these early days as we're trying to get up out of the ground. One of the big ones is the amount of work that's needed on the historic slate roof. When they got up there, the slate was in much worse condition than they thought it would be, and it's going to need to be replaced. And there's also been some surprises related to undocumented underground utilities serving the adjacent properties, so 71, 73 Main, the Marquee Cinema, things like that. So all of that is putting some pressure on the project contingency. We do have a project contingency, so that covers the expanded scope. At this point, we're still in the discovery process, and REARC and Judith are telling me another few weeks, and we should kind of be out of it. At that point, Chris Huston will come in and give a presentation to you guys with more details on the expanded scope and potential cost and how much of an impact that's going to have on our project contingency. So more coming on that. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the construction progress because Judith does those reports and she can speak to it in so much more detail than I can. So planning, we're already starting to plan for next summer. We will have to relocate again, which we now know is a huge amount of work, but this one will be a lot more exciting. We'll close again for 3 or 4 weeks. We will again do the expanded hours at Sarah Partridge. I plan to hopefully rehire the same moving company that moved the books this last time. It was Meyer, and they did a fantastic job. So I will be including a budget request for that in the fiscal year 27 budget process upcoming. And the library trustees are starting to think ahead to the grand opening and what that is going to look like and how we're going to celebrate and welcome the community into the new library when the time comes, which will be here before we know it, I think. And there's a lot to look forward to, but the things that I'm most excited for about this upcoming year and getting back into the new building, The biggest one is just letting the librarians run wild and like be their creative selves. They've kind of been held back for a long time, and I can't wait to see what new programs and services they are able to do once they have these awesome new spaces. We are already putting together plans to expand our library of things, so identifying new funky fun items that we'll now have space for that people can check out. The e-bikes have been so popular, and Frog Hollow worked with us on that, so we're trying to think creatively about other items like that might be good for the community. We are really looking forward to starting to reserve our new public spaces. We get requests all the time that we just can't fill because we don't have them right now. We'll be able to start offering more telehealth services, and we will continue to maintain a lot of the outreach that we've started during this interim period. So things like holding our movie club at the cinema, we'll probably continue to do that, and sending a librarian to the teen center occasionally. We'll keep doing that. Not as frequently, but we'll continue to keep up those relationships.
Dana, I have a question, excuse me, on offering telehealth services. I understand how telehealth works. How does the library fit in to doing telehealth?
By offering a private space that has the technology that they need to connect to either a healthcare provider or telelaw or whatever it might be, and then allowing people to reserve it in advance. And then also we will, there's training that the librarians can go through that help people set up those video links if it's beyond their technological capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not setting a room aside all the time. It's just going to be some room that can be one of the smaller rooms. That can
Yeah,
be
it's going to be the digital media lab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It'll probably be by appointment.
It's going to be by appointment, yeah, and that's going to be the only space. The reason why it is that room is because that's the only room that can be made private.
Right.
All the other meeting spaces have huge windows and glass doors because we want to see what's going on in there, whereas we will have one space that can be made private for telehealth purposes.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah.
I never thought about windows being an issue. Like it's in the old classified world that I was in, but
Yeah. Privacy.
Yeah, it's important for people speaking with their healthcare providers and I don't know, showing them rashes or so we're looking forward to being very busy and welcoming the community back in. So that's it for my formal presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about our current operations or what's coming up or libraries in general.
So first of all, I have to apologize. I should have acknowledged Mark for initiating this program with having the department heads come and give us updates. Thank you for doing that. It's very helpful having these things. And I can tell you, I don't know how many times I heard compliments about this new location you're working at, especially Trish. She gets so many people compliment that the program she run for the kids, it's amazing. You got that little space and you're making the most of it, which is very commendable. I want to say thank you.
Oh,
for doing
well,
that.
thank you for saying that, and I'm glad you called out Miss Tricia because she's incredible. And with all the discussion about the library spaces, it can be easy to forget that the librarians are really what make the library incredible. We are so lucky that we have such a good staff, and it's been really interesting. Tricia has actually expanded her story time offerings because we have found a lot of new to us, new young families are coming into the library that we haven't seen before, and we're not sure why being 100 yards down Main Street has made a difference, but it seems like a lot of people have stumbled across us that hadn't been in the library before with young children, so that's been really great.
It might be people with mold allergies, then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe they were just staying away for fear of the air quality. It's a good point, Andy.
we're getting stuck in
just
the
right
elevator.
right out the street. That's
Yeah.
why I think when people are
And the big window.
Yeah.
People see the kids in there and they're like, oh, we want to go in.
This one's not very far off the street, by the way.
Yeah, but it's not in white. You can't see inside. Right? So, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dana.
Laura has a question.
Laura has a question.
Yes, Laura.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm in there regularly. And I work with Renee, also wonderful staff, Royce, great staff, and so the other thing that the library does is it's a resource connector. Both, just drop in with people, but also the brochure that they create and maintain. So that's just a wonderful service of the library too, that we really value and appreciate. And one of the things that the brochure tells you is where to go to the bathroom, which, as you remember, was the genesis of that, because it was called the Gotta Go, where to find a bathroom. And I'm wondering if the new library has planned for bathroom access after it's closed. And so I suggested that back in the design, and I'm just wondering
Yeah.
where that is in the planning.
So I remember these discussions because it was also a hope of mine that we might be able to have like the Portland Blue or something like that
Maybe
on the
that.
property. There will be after hours access into a part of the library where the community meeting room is and a small conference room are, and there are restrooms that serve those spaces. However, the access to that space will be by reservation, like the way the community meeting room was before. You reserve the space, you check out a key, you unlock the door is open for your event. It will not be open 24/7 whenever anyone needs a restroom.
Okay, anyway, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to see where we
Yeah.
were with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not done with bathrooms.
It's not a surprise.
We could not find a way that we thought we could maintain a 24-hour restroom. Yeah.
That'd be a disaster around a library.
It would have been, we couldn't find a way to do it.
Yeah, no.
Thank you, Dana.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks
you.
for all your support.
Okay, thanks.
Very much.
Next up is Vermont Bond Bank, Town Loan Documentation Authorization, Mark.
Okay, so as you all know, in May of 2024, voters here authorized a borrowing to fund the Ilsley renovation and expansion project. So in your packets for this evening, there are a number of documents, relevant documents that we'll need the board to approve and sign this evening so that we can get them FedExed out tomorrow morning, get them back to our bond council in time for the 29th, in time for the actual closing on August 7th. So it's a 20-year bond with annual payments estimated at this time, although we don't have a firm number tonight, to be in the $575,000 range.
The payments are $575,000. So are we borrow this all at one time. We get the big check.
That's my understanding, right? We're borrowing to fund the construction, and then we'll pay it back over a 20-year term.
And there's all kinds of complexities in that 11.5. With, you know, the taxpayers have approved a certain amount. The 1% tax is going to pay the rest in a couple of different ways, right?
Yeah, the original formula for the project was partially from local option tax, partially from regular funds.
Right.
Yes, property tax.
Right.
Okay.
And other sources.
Right.
Yeah.
And Dana's on the hook for the other $6.5 million. Okay. And is that
Some of that is
I-
pledges, it hasn't come in, and if it doesn't,
About a little over half of it has come in.
okay.
When do you start sending reminders or something?
They go out all the time.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
all
Yep,
the
every
time.
month I send out reminders to whoever's due that month, and most people elected a 4-year pledge period, so the first year has gone by, and we're now in the second year. People are getting their second pledge installment reminder, so it's ongoing.
How does the 4-year pledge period work out with, they're paying back a loan? That means there's going to be a shortfall of a couple $1 million in paying off the contract. How do we cover that gap?
That is a question for Nicholas.
Okay.
We can get an answer to that question.
Yeah. Basically, it's they're going to be making their own.
We're gonna have to take it from
Temporary ban.
Yeah, you're going to have some type of temporary bridge loan for 3 years. Okay. Just thinking out loud. Maybe that's dangerous to do in a public forum, but that's what I was doing. So
Can you explain the
We're-
term Vermont bond bank sale? What does it mean? Bond bank sale?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
The Vermont bond bank sale.
Bond bank goes to the market.
Yeah, it goes to the market.
Oh,
The reason
yeah,
I
they
couldn't
sell
give
it,
you
yeah.
the reason I couldn't give you a firm number on the amount is because it hasn't gone to sale yet.
Also, it's out for bid.
This is just preparing for it.
to buy the loan.
Oh,
Like
I
mortgage
thought the
dispute.
loan was on sale for us.
Oh, yeah, good. You can buy.
Any other questions, anybody?
Fred, have you read every single document word for word?
No.
Okay.
Good for you, Fred.
Andy has.
No, I'm not.
I trust that the staff between,
This has all been reviewed by staff and bond
Yes,
counsel.
and an attorney.
And an attorney,
So I
yes.
agree, okay, yes, that's what I understand. Okay. Okay, I move to authorize the town manager to sign the related documents on behalf of the town for the 2025 Series 2 Vermont Bond Bank sale.
We need to actually update that motion. Sorry.
Okay? What is it?
You may have, here we go.
You do this to me. When am I supposed to download this stuff? 5 minutes before the show or what?
Actually,
click on it.
so it's just amending the motion not to authorize the town manager, but instead it's an action that you're going to be taking.
Okay,
I moved to.
so
approve the
belay my
documents.
last, which is a Navy
I
style.
haven't updated one.
So I have the wrong one up again, which I have every week. Apparently, I do my prep way too far in
I
advance.
know,
I
you're
should be
just
doing it 10 minutes before I come to
too-
finish. I move to approve the
Much
documents for the 2025 Series 2 Vermont Bond Bank sale relating to the library project.
So moved. Oops. Yeah, second.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moved and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? None. Motion approved. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Town committee discussions, Public Health and Safety Committee, Laura. And this is another initiative that Mark has taken with the subcommittee heads to come and give us
Thanks, Dana.
updates.
Bye now.
I too have a little presentation for you. And it's little, but our discussion can ramble.
What did you just say?
I said, the presentation is little, but our discussion can ramble.
Oh, I thought I
Depending on
heard
how
you
much
say.
you want to talk about public health and safety. So, all right, here we are. So the Middlebury Public Health and Safety Committee considers the community's needs on a broad range of subjects, including traffic, parking, sidewalk management, pedestrian and bicycle safety, fire, police, medical emergency preparedness and equipment, weather emergency preparedness, wildlife issues, maybe farm life issues, environmental hazards, criminal justice, and keeps the town abreast of statewide health trends and concerns. So that is on our website, the town website, as what the Public Health and Safety Committee does. So I'm just presenting that to you. The picture that you see here is a good example of the work. So you can see well-marked crosswalks, accessibility for handicap access, properly designated parking with 15-minute access in front of the post office, well-designed and placed bike racks near the library. So there's a lot going on in this picture that shows the work, the good work that the town is doing, and there's always more work to do, and many requests that come to us for these improvements. All right, next slide. All right, so we meet quarterly, January, April, July, and October on the fourth Monday at 4 p.m. here at the town office and on Zoom. And that means we'll be meeting this Monday on July 28th. The meetings are open to the public. We have lively discussions. So the citizen comments portion is more at the end, but the agenda tends to be kind of a similar checklist, which is in the website right now. I don't think it's attached to this packet, but you'll find it at the Public Health and Safety Committee page where our agendas and minutes are located. So you'll see, we'll be dealing with traffic calming, we'll be dealing with encampment, we'll be dealing with, or just more broadly downtown safety and anything that might apply to that, including how are we doing? Are there any concerns or issues with encampment? Because we created the new policy last year. And how are we doing with weather events, like related to downtown safety, cooling and heating for people in extreme conditions, which you saw, recently. So like that. So anyway, so the meetings are open to the public, the agendas are posted, and people are welcome to come. The members of the committee you can see here are representatives of citizens at large. So I'm a citizen at large. These are alphabetical, so that's why they appear in the order that they do on the screen here. And you have Gary, a longtime citizen at large, Emily, who represents the school district, Chief Covey from the police department, David, who's here, from Public Works, very valuable in recent meetings, Andy as a select board member and Megan as the alternate, Demetria from the college, Andrew LaRoe from the Planning Commission, and also he's a citizen at large that's on there, and does emergency preparedness, so good to have on the committee. Our town manager, Mark, Kate from MREMS, Tom Scanlon, who's our health officer, David Shaw from the fire department, and Beth from Porter Hospital. So good, right? Like in terms of having representatives that can get together and sort of connect with each other even after the meeting on whatever may be important follow-up work that they want to conduct. So that's the committee. We don't have bylaws. In terms of having a quorum, we do our best, to manage it. We don't really pass a lot of things that we have to vote on. And Dan, you were on the committee, so you saw that.
I also saw the expansion of the committee. That's really great to get these additional community people involved.
And it's been suggested that we add somebody from the state health office who would be Beate, and she was very involved in creating the Looking for a Resource brochure, which was a makeover of the Gotta Go brochure, which you heard me mention earlier. So might even be another person. And we don't want to be too big, but anyway, the idea was to include stakeholders that could get together, because it only meets quarterly, this committee. It could meet more frequently for specific task force work if it wanted to. And in some cases it did. We did with the encampment work that we did. And often the committee does cross over with other committees, as you can imagine. So I will attend an infrastructure committee meeting if it looks like that's valuable, to do that. And of course, infrastructure comes to us. So we have that fertilization. And sometimes I cross over with the library, as you heard me mention earlier, or we cross over with other departments and committees. So we go to them or invite them to us when that's appropriate. Okay, next slide. So traffic calming, a big part of what we've been doing and dealing with in the past years and at many of the recent meetings. So we monitor infrastructure road repaving projects. and advocate for what we call road diets, and shoulder and crosswalk improvements and maintenance. So have you heard of road diets? Do you know what I'm talking about with regard to that? So imagine just what it suggests. So we're shrinking the travel lane, giving it a diet, and that naturally calms the traffic down. So you don't have to do bumps or tables or anything like that, because you're actually shrinking the travel lane, and there are ways that you can do that. So the bottom picture shows what Rutland just did as an example. So you see that one with the changing lane in the middle. And if you've traveled down Route 7 South, if you've seen that, because it's there now.
It is.
And they've created a wider shoulder with a marked bike lane. You see that? It's not the best because it doesn't have a buffer, to protect, as Burlington and Shelburne have done if you go north, and you see that, right? So anyway, that's the idea. That's what a road diet is, and that's a win-win. It calms traffic, it creates a wider shoulder for other use by cyclists, and in the case of more rural locations, dog walkers and joggers. So shoulders are everything, like in terms of trying to do just even basic striping to get a little bit of a wider shoulder, to good maintenance of the shoulder. So there you can see a storm drain that gets clogged regularly, and that's why street sweeping is so important, and properly designed drains, street drains are important. So the committee monitors all of that and recommends improvements related to that. So that's a road diet. And in Butt-Off Acres, we've had a lot of discussion about especially Rogers Road and restoring the speed bumps on Rogers Road until we figure out a better solution. So the ultimate solution is a road diet, and we are planning for a corridor from the new development through Butt-Off, through Rogers Road, that we hope will account for that. And we're talking about speed tables in place of bumps when those are appropriate. So if you've gone down Pine Street in Burlington, you can see an example of that, of a table. So it's not as severe as the college when you go to McCullough, like where you got that boof, that big, thing, hump that you're going over. So it's not as severe as that. It's a little bit more leveled out. So the plow can go over it. More easily. So that's a table. And that's what we were considering for Rogers Road. And if we come up with a different solution, we might not need the table at all, but we still might need tables in some locations. So that brings us to, well, how does the town decide what its priorities are around who gets these traffic calming measures? So we're trying to discuss that now, like a process for receiving the requests and prioritizing those requests, and standards, like, if a community or community member or neighborhood comes to us for that calming request, we can say, well, this is what we would recommend as our standard. So like tables instead of bumps. So bumps are cheap, and they're a stopgap measure, and that's why we have them right now. And that's why you see them in other parking lots, like the co-op and in the Marble Works, and other spots. So we do that. We look at connectivity. We always have requests for bike lanes. We have geography that limits us in terms of what we can do, but we try to think about that. And like I said, we're trying to propose and implement request procedures and standards. So the other pictures that you can see on this slide show an approach that was taken in another community on a more rural road where they took out the fog line. You can see that, and they made the shoulder wider. In the top picture, can you see that on the? And it's hatched as you go, so that if you did have a large vehicle, they could still navigate that, or an emergency vehicle that might need to go around that. But basically, cars would move around each other on that road, but they would be in the middle to allow for wider shoulders for other use. And in the bottom picture, it just shows that coming into a standard divided lane, and that's how they handled that. So it's just another approach to a road diet that the town could consider if it wanted to. So I'm just showing you some visuals related to that so you have a concept of what we mean by road diet. Okay, next slide. So this is just a continuation of traffic calming. So the bottom flag picture, you've seen that crosswalk flag now at crosswalks, which was our predecessor to the rapid flashing beacon lights that are on Cross Street and at the top of Court Square, like there. So they work. And the picture of the elder with the tricycle, the red tricycle in front of the library, that's Ron Slaybaugh. He approached me, he said, I use those flags all the time, but at night you can't see them because they don't have any reflective device on it. So David actually found one that has a reflective stripe. So that's what we're phasing in now as those flags. We're paying attention to the corridors that are the heaviest commuting corridors. The Triangle Bike Loop that was created by the Walk Bike Council of Addison County actually designated that, and the committee was involved in giving feedback on the signage placement for that route. And so that's just an example of working with a partner. So we work with these wider community partners, and we work with teaching people how to safely navigate Middlebury. You can see Officer Mason down there with me as the mascot for Walk and Roll Days. So we have a lot of engagement. The police department is fantastic in terms of supporting our efforts, both in enforcement when they can, and participating in events and saving the abandoned bikes for us to put into the swap, things like that. So great community work. All right, final slide. And really the most robust one to talk about. So in terms of looking at downtown public health and safety, we look at a lot of things. And most recently, this past year, we're very focused on the encampment policy so that we could address that. And we're continuing to monitor that. It's a trauma-informed policy. So if you've been with us on its development, you know that, and it seems to be working. I think that the feedback I've gotten from the agencies that are dealing with the unhoused, which of course it's swelling because of the motel program ending, is that people don't really know where to camp. So it's all trial and error. And we did see, some people just try to pop up a tent in the Marble Works. Well, you can't do it there. And so they find out because they're told, no, not there. And then, well, but where? And then they're not told where, so that's still a bit of a dilemma. And it's kind of scattered and it's still with us. So even though we don't see it behind the library, we need to appreciate that this is still very much with us, and we're trying to respond to it as compassionately and as best as we can. So that's the encampment policy, so we continue to monitor that. Bathroom and water access is very important, not just for the transient or the unhoused population, but for our visitors and ourselves, so it's something that the committee we can park it there, like we can park those discussions in that committee. Same thing with litter, if there are concerns about litter. And as we know, mental health conditions are more aggravated, and the community has to respond to that. So the committee is a place where we can vet that, in terms of what could be the appropriate town's response in terms of that reality. Same thing with extreme weather events like we just had with extreme heat, where we allowed the pool to be open on those really hot days free, which was wonderful. And in the other extreme, when it's very cold, where can people go to warm up? So like that. And that brochure that you see in the slide, the Looking For brochure, is posted all over town and tells you where you can go. The other thing that's kind of rising is some ambiguity about public assembly and postings. And the select board can definitely address it, but if you want us in the Public Health and Safety Committee to do any vetting around policy on that, we're available.
Sorry to interrupt. I was going to hold this to the end, but I think we're getting there. I was curious if you know when this committee was created or what the original charge was beyond the language on the website. I'm afraid that I don't have access to our website because apparently it's geo-blocked, so that people currently in foreign countries can't access our town website.
Well, I think the Public Safety Committee has been around for a long time. It got expanded to Public Safety and Health Committee maybe around 2012, 2010, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I know I've been on it for at least 10 years. I think I might need a little water. Discuss amongst yourselves.
I think there's so many good, good concepts for the town here, but as kind of a process one, I'm not sure how this exactly fits or what things originate or are decided at this committee based on the definition we got and these kinds of projects, right? Things about how we build our streets for non-vehicular safety feels like a planning and zoning question to me. And how we budget that feels like a infrastructure and select board question. I love this group, I love these people. I just want a charge that's clear so that we know how these people can be best utilized and this effort can have the most impact.
Let's go back to the first slide. So I didn't create this charge. I think Tom Hanley created this charge when he was chair of this committee, I believe. And this is what we try to address. And as I said, we do cross over with these other committees.
No, absolutely, and it's a great cross-functional group of town and department and major community players and the public at large. It's a very good organization. I just feel that when the first verb is considers, that it's not really clear how it plays into the process of effecting change.
Well,
I'm going to say, Andy, for one thing, it works like any other committee that we have. Not very many of our committees can make policy or make decisions without approval of the select board.
Absolutely, and they should. The question is, what comes to them even? Or what is their role in something like figuring out standards for roads and biking, right? Like it's not clear from this. We also have the Addison County Bike Ped Coalition, which is involved in this. Yeah, I would love a clearer charge and clearer authority kind of here. We know what infrastructure does. Energy has a little bit of budget for their best picks on how to impact our town's carbon footprint. Yeah, again, I can't say enough good things about the intent and energy here. I just want to be more effective if possible. And if we can bring more clarity to how to do that, I think it would be great.
Well, I think that it's been functioning fairly well because the community can bring a concern to us, we bring it to you. You know, like that's what happens. Or vice versa. You could give us a charge and then we work on it and then bring it back to you like this is what we've learned or this is the feedback we got, you know, so, or this is our recommendation.
We've heard from people who feel like they get the runaround. Particularly like the Rogers Roads folks, who are like, we go to infrastructure, and they say go to public safety and health, and we don't know how to get involved and try to get the attention of the town for projects, and I can see where they're coming from.
Right, so that is exactly what we're going to be talking about at the next meeting, is clarifying that request procedure so that we have a better response to people that come to us with a
But I
concern.
think that's the town's process, that's not the committee's process from my seat on both, I guess.
I'll give an example, being on both the infrastructure committee and the energy committee. This goes to the last thing on the last slide, electric vehicles charging. With Emily's help and direction, the energy committee, when it has recommendations relative to things that, like it may update its recommendations relative to EV charging at some point, that is going to flow from Emily talking with the energy committee to the infrastructure committee, and I think the staff role on this is important. I think there's Andy mentioned that the road standards ought to come through planning and zoning, and actually we build roads and sidewalks that have nothing to do with zoning permits. And the town should have its own public works standards for its water and sewer facilities, and the ideal of building sidewalks and roads. The select board ultimately adopt those standards, but then having them published and adopted in a way that developers can look at them and then have some predictability of what they're going to be expected to do would help facilitate developments and applications rather than having to negotiate each time, which was a challenge we've had in prior years. So there's a whole role, I think, of particularly, and as much of this involves the police department, but also public works, of how you develop things. And, you know, I don't think any one entity has the franchise on planning. Planning is deciding what should be done. Ideas can come from your committee, they can come from Emily, they can come from other levels. And it all has to come in to the funnel. If you remember the diagram for David's, the town manager's funnel of, you know, what can we take on and how do we organize our sort of work plan. I think that's it's too complex and there's too many overlaps to try to say, you know, categorically in a charge for a committee where the boundaries and jurisdiction is. I know some legislative committees have jurisdiction boundaries. I don't think we should do that. I think good ideas ought to be welcomed and should come from all sources, but they need to consult with the others who are also working on those things, and particularly the staff, in a way that works on the development of them and advancing them to the stage of the ultimate approval by the select board. So that's my thoughts on it.
I mean, that's certainly the intent of having Public Works on the committee. So they can help respond to that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, that's the public Health and Safety Committee, that's its composition. This is its current goal. That's what we've been working on, and we'll be meeting on Monday to do our best
Right here.
right here.
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you
Good
for your
presentation.
service.
Appreciate it. All right. Next up is the public hearing and adoption of downtown improvement district ordinance and amendments. So this public hearing is for the select board to hear comments and questions from the public regarding the proposed amendments to the town of Middlebury's ordinance for the regulation of the downtown improvement district. The initial reading of this draft ordinance took place at the select board's June 24th meeting and has since been advertised in the Addison Independent. The board is conducting a public hearing to take questions and comments from the Middlebury community regarding the proposed amendments to the ordinance for the regulation of downtown improvement district. If you have a question or comment, please raise your hand if you are in the room. When recognized, come up to the table in front. If you are on Zoom, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window to be recognized. In either case, please state your full name for the public record before you make your comment. With that, I will open the public hearing. We have a hand up from Kathleen. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, hello. This is just a very general comment to thank Mark and David for really helping establish and re-establish the DIDC, and I just wanted to comment on how efficient it's been and how collaboratively everyone has worked together. And I'm really excited for the meeting on the 4th of August to look at the public comments. So it's just a comment, no questions around it, just gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Catherine.
you.
Anybody else? I don't think so. The board has any questions or comments?
I'd like to echo what Catherine said. Appreciate the staff's work to reactivate this, and looking forward to the suggestions that are made.
As of today, we have 219 responses to our survey, so we're doing
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Great.
And we'll do, we'll push it out one more time before we close it, just to give everyone another opportunity, anyone that may have missed it, to chime in. So, August 4th, the DIDC will meet and start to sift through some of the feedback we received and begin the process of developing their recommendations to you all for the fiscal 27 budget.
That's a 12 o'clock meeting, or is
Yes.
that? Oh, okay.
Nobody else? So if there are no further comments regarding the proposed amendments to the ordinance for the regulation of the downtown improvement district, I'm going to call the public hearing closed. Time for motion.
I would move to approve the proposed amendments to the Town of Middlebury's ordinance for the regulation of the downtown improvement district.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion approved. All right. Board member concerns.
Oh, I'm first. Sorry, I was breathing into the wood paneling of Andy's
Oh, yeah.
place. I do not have. Actually, I have one concern, which is a public safety thing. There's been a crossing light between Walgreens and Hannaford that's been a pedestrian, you can now walk light that's been out for a long time. And you stand there and you wait.
David just left.
Just like.
That's
Okay,
a
just-
state intersection
It's a
and
state.
light. It's not the
So-
towns, but they may have
It's near
a
your-
contact person.
There was an accident about a month ago a truck hit that pole and it fell. And there was like 6 hours they were working the state crew.
Okay.
So the gentleman who was in charge of that, he works for the Department of Transportation. He happened to come into the store to grab a drink, and I was talking to him, and they fixed it, but I didn't know if it was not working. So
Okay, yeah. So who would you report that to? If you,
We'll share it with
Okay.
Public Works, and if it has to go to V-Trans, they'll
Okay.
share it with them.
that's all.
Yeah.
easy.
I'm all good.
Andy,
Yeah, thanks for running a great meeting, Carmine. I think it was great to hear from Dana and Laura. I really appreciate having folks come in and tell us what's going on kind of a routine basis. And I do hope that we can clarify to some degree the process in charge for public health and safety. I think the goal of making our travel more friendly and our streets safer for people who aren't in 1 or 2 ton vehicles is really smart. And I think we can do it with, as Fred was saying, road standards that we put in as we upgrade our roads. We should not be punching holes in our asphalt for temporary speed bumps when a bunch of neighbors get together and come to us. We should have standards so that we can do this across town in all residential neighborhoods and everyone is treated the same. Yeah, I'm super enjoying my vacation. It's going to be exactly the right length of time. I will be excited to be back at work next week. A crazy thing is that I arrive in Newark 15 minutes before I leave Tokyo on Saturday.
Perfect.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. You're like at 9 o'clock in the morning over there.
Fun with time zones.
Absolutely nuts. Yeah, and I probably will not make the policy review meeting because I think that's at midnight local time.
Excuses.
how's
I know.
Wimp.
It's tough.
how's Japan and how are the dollar stores over there?
Japan is amazing. The dollar stores are amazing.
100 yen store.
100 yen stores over here. Nothing more than 100 yen, which is, I don't know, 75 cents or so. So it's a little cheaper over here in Vermont.
Cool. Have a safe trip.
What's that?
Have a safe trip.
Thanks so much.
Dan,
I have nothing.
right?
I should just report as your airport liaison that there was a meeting held at the airport. The state, V-Trans has hired a new program manager for its airport program, and this is a guy named Evan Robinson, and he has come to Middlebury, and Mark Krasinski and I had a tour of the airport with him and the local airport maintenance management person, and we met some of the business owners who there are 2 businesses there, one of which may move to North Carolina, but J&M had a long conversation with the owner after the meeting. Anyway, there was a meeting, that the first of a series of meetings that they're having with all of the state airports about asking the users and neighbors whether they feel there should be policy changes. Primarily, they're interested in the airport users' policies, how they handle leases, what hangars can be used for, should there be through the fence operations, so to speak, for properties that are outside the airport property, and just asking the users what they feel the needs are. And those, the meeting was pretty well attended. There was 30 or 40 people there, and a good representation of people who are neighbors who have been active through the Act 250 permit process for the master plan. The users of the airport really would like those aircraft lights. These are not lights that would light up like a parking lot, but lights that are on the runway that turn on
Yep.
with
Yeah, so
three clicks
sensor.
for a few minutes to allow them to land safely should they be coming back and it's dark, and it's a safety issue for them. Otherwise, they have to go to other airports to land, and it's costly. And I think the explanation of how little impact this is thought to have often needs to be better conveyed, because neighbors worry about any big changes at the airport that would cause disturbances to them. That's been a continuing theme over years. There's nothing new to report there. Anyway, the meeting went well. It was well received. The neighbors appreciated the new contact and the new energy that Evan Robinson is bringing. And
Brad, one question.
Yes.
Is there any change in federal funding for the rural airports that were mentioned or brought up?
The projects at the airport are funded 95% with FAA Airport Trust Fund money and 5% through VTrans. And
Right.
The state has a number of things that they want to do, aids and instrument landing at certain of the more frequently used airports like Rutland. Those kinds of things adapt to the modern world of navigation with Garmin instrumentation that helps people as they come in to make sure they're not too high or too low on their approach. And that's the kind of thing that people at the Middlebury airport would like too. But I think we're far down the list. We're the shortest runway still in the state, and the airport that has the least of the other kinds of facilities that are desired by pilots. I think the state wants to put their priorities and their state matching funds towards the things that serve the most users and the greatest needs. And so one of the things that is in their plan is a terminal building, a place to come to. So you imagine people arriving at the airport. There used to be a portion of the FBO, the fixed base operators hangar, that was used for that, but that has been leased to the FBO, so it's not really publicly available anymore. So there's no place to go to. So if someone is flying in, and while we were there, Mark and I were there with our tour, there was somebody coming in to look at Middlebury College with their son or daughter, I can't remember. And they were like, okay, there was a taxi that came and took them away, but there was, so there, a terminal building would be basically a room, a place for pilots to have a lounge, a bathroom, a place to wait out of the weather for a taxi or something. Anyway, that's far down the road, I think, financially, for both FAA and at the federal level and the state in terms of priority. So I don't think there's going to be major changes at the airport.
Bucket being smaller because of the big beautiful bill or anything like that.
No, it didn't threaten Medicaid.
Yeah.
I think there's much more serious needs nationwide in terms of aircraft safety.
Oh yeah. I'm flying into Newark. I think I mentioned that.
I'm a big fan of Newark. I love Newark Airport.
Are you following the news at all?
Do you know why Jane is moving, or?
Well, he has a property in North Carolina where Amazon is proposing a new data center.
Get more business.
There's going to be and North Carolina has an economy where they can offer prospective businesses. He does small repairs, light repairs to aircraft, and his wife has a job in the post postal service down there, and he just perceives that to be a more lucrative thing. He may keep a portion of his operation here, but I think economic opportunity is greater for him in other places and other states with that kind of economic development happening are more attractive, I think, and can afford to offer businesses better advantages. So, I mean, we've seen that happen with other businesses. You know, we're not, we can't compete with some other states in terms of attracting business.
I'm glad you're taking the lead on that. I'm not being the
I'm not
liaison.
leading much.
So,
I'm a communicator.
So thank you for that. I had a question for Laura, actually. You mentioned road diets. So you have come up with this, the solution to traffic calming. Has this been actionable? Has any action been taken on this so far, or is it just a recommendation?
They don't have any ability to make,
So maybe
they don't
I
have the
said-
ability to make a decision on something like that.
So they have a recommendation to the infrastructure committee. Maybe I have the same question like Andy has.
I think as part of the standards, that would need to be created by the town, and who does that? You know, so when you go to restrike a road, you know, like, is the shoulder gonna be, like, how wide?
So-
Absolutely.
These recommendations may help us to come up with road standards.
I think that's a huge project. I think that's a project that we're probably gonna have to hire a consultant to do, because every road needs to be looked at, and some roads can go on a diet, other roads can't, and some are susceptible to bikes. So we don't have the ability to make those type of decisions for the whole town, in this town, I don't think. What's that?
We can make it.
Not just making a decision, it's
Like, we're going to say, whenever we're repaving at this speed, we should stripe to this distance. And where we've got an important sidewalk, we should have a bump out for the crossing. And we can write those standards.
Yeah, obviously, you're gonna run into geography, but
Yeah.
where you can do it, you should do it. Right now, we don't have those standards.
I agree.
Right.
So, all right, thank you so much, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.